Harold Christopher Carabina, better known to you and me as Harry Caray, lived an incredible life. He survived a paralyzing stroke, a bad fall prior to a game in Miami. He was hit by a car here in St. Louis. And that's only the stuff we know about. But on Valentine's Day, the world of baseball, and to some extent the world in general, lost a true original. After an amazing 60-some-odd years connected with the game of baseball, Harry Caray leaves behind more memories than could possibly be counted. And style? Well, we already said he was an original.
When the ball is hit, you know it might be. There's a drive way back. Might be. You see the left fielder moving back, you know it could be. Could be. It lands in the bleachers, it is. Anything you contrive in our business is bad. What you see is what you get. And when it's me, you may like it, you may dislike it, you may think it's corny, you might think it's mashy, whatever. But I say it the way I'm accustomed to saying it.
Between his years as a broadcaster in St. Louis and Chicago, generations from now, fans may still argue about which city was Harry's real home. I guess it's only fitting his most famous play-by-play call took place in a game between the Cubs and the Cardinals.
Here's the pitch. Line drive, there it is! Into left field! Hit number 3,000! A run is scored! Musial ran first! On his way to second with a double! Holy cow, he came through!
NBC's Bob Costas remembers a much younger Harry Caray.
This Harry Caray, as enjoyable and entertaining as he has been, let's say, the past 10, 15 years, that's not the real Harry Caray. The real Harry Caray is the guy Cardinal fans heard on the radio in the 50s and 60s and early 70s, because there you had a guy who was this bombastic, larger-than-life personality, but he was also a technically excellent announcer.
Because of his unique style, Harry Caray became one of the most imitated voices in America.
I just can't figure it out.
Yeah, it starts with, here's a guy.
Here's a guy. Jose Concepcion, or Dave Concepcion, one of these guys that grew up in Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic, one of these islands that the sun shines 365 days a year. And he misses a pop-up in the sun. I just can't figure it out.
He's oblivious. The game's incidental to the story he's telling.
You know, I was on Rush Street last night, totally inebriated. I closed the one bar and went across the street at a taco. And that greasy spoon. Oh, there's a triple play. Anyway, I had too many jalapeno peppers. Get indigestion, you know. That's a fastball off Sandberg's head, both benches empty. So I'm looking for the Pepto-Bismol. He's on a stretcher, I think he's dead. Finally, I get a hold of some kale pectate. He's more concerned what celebrity show. Hey, the Pope is here today. The group of 30 Cardinals. Finally, a group of Cardinals the Cubs can beat. The Pope is here. I guess it's Big Hat Day here at Wrigley. You know, a couple of kids were poking the Pope in the back of the head. I guess they couldn't see the game with his big hat on. He just reeled around to give the one kid an elbow to the forehead, and I don't blame the guy. I mean, here's a guy. There's a throw to first. Here's a guy who's worked his whole life to get to where he is. They give him a hat. Let him wear the hat. Hey, Snoop Doggy Dogg is in the house. You know, Snoop Doggy Dogg backwards is Poon Scotty God.
Oh, man. Standing ovation for Brian Caponera.
Listening to Harry do a game is kind of like listening if your dad was doing the game. You'd kind of look the other way if he goofed up.
2 out, nobody on. Eddie Murray, rather.
Even if he really goofed up.
Harry Caray back at Bush Memorial Hospital. There is the Cubs defense. Ground ball, this will be the ball game. There's the toss. And the St. Louis Cardinals have beaten the Chicago Cubs 13 to... Hold on. We're only in the 8th inning. I beg your pardon. The Cardinals 13. The Cubs 3. You can't blame a guy for trying, eh?
Anything could come out of his mouth at any time.
Ground ball, fumble for a moment, throws the third in time. So
No runs, 1 hit, 2 left. We go into the bottom of the fourth, 5-0 St. Louis.
It wasn't only Harry's announcing style that was unique. Comedian Bill Murray.
The reason I like Harry so much is because he'll never tell me the real story about why he was run out of St. Louis. And the rumors are so great. You must have heard some of them.
Oh, yeah.
He won't really cop to the whole thing, you know, and that's why he took up drinking beer, I think, is just to forget. Or to keep himself from... But you'd think he'd have a couple of drinks and say, well, you know what really happened, Bill? Gussie... Oh, never mind, I can't tell you. He's a great one to tease. He wore some really exciting clothing, and the last time I saw him, he had a coat on that would, I mean, really keep mosquitoes off the porch. He's really an outstanding dresser, and he shops by catalog, and it shows.
Harry, all of your fans back in St. Louis, I guess first and foremost, want to know how you're feeling.
I feel marvelous. I feel marvelous. You know, I feel badly about one thing. You know, Murph is a good friend of mine, Jim Murphy, and his saloon is my favorite place, and that's where you're doing the show today from, and yet I have duties here at the ballpark I can't get over there for.
That's right. We'll come wherever you are. You realize there's an entire generation of people coming up in the business that are hearing you and are trying to do your act? I would imagine that your advice to them would be, don't copy what I do.
No, everybody, to be successful, I think you have to have your own style. Whatever it is, it's got to be you talking because, you know, especially on the tube, people detect phoniness right away. We have that proven every day in politics, too, you know. And you got to be what you are.
Broadcaster Bob Costas.
By the way, have you ever seen glasses like that? I mean, he's practically wearing a windshield. You know, when bugs die on the left lens, and then homeless guys come up and offer to squeegee it off for a quarter.
Something very special happened to baseball when Harry Caray was hired by sports legend Bill Veeck to call the Chicago White Sox games. Years later, when he moved over to Wrigley Field and the Cubs games went out worldwide over Superstation WGN, Harry was to find his place in American folklore.
Wow, all of a sudden I hear my voice coming booming back at me along with about 8,000 others. I said, Bill, I said, well, what in the world was that all about? He said, Harry, 45 years I've been looking for the right man. He says, as soon as I heard you, I knew you're the right guy. I began to puff up in the flattery, you know. He says, as soon as you start singing, that man sitting wherever he's sitting knows he can sing better than you, and so he joins in.
Harry Caray was part of a vanishing breed. The longtime announcers who truly are the voice of a team, whose voice is like the soundtrack of your summer, whose voice suggests baseball first and foremost, no matter what else they may have done in their career. And as soon as you hear that voice, you think about all your baseball memories, and you think about the team or teams they broadcast for. It's one less person in that category now.
I think the way they will remember me, which is that I was a good guy, and I was a hell of a baseball fan. And that's what I am. I think that's why the people like me. I've often said this. If you put a microphone around the throat of one of these fans, whether it be in the bleachers in a reserve seat, his voice pattern would be exactly the same as mine. He'd be ecstatic when something good happens for one of his ball players. He'd be depressed when something bad happened. He'd be critical, or he'd be approving. He couldn't hide his feeling. And if that's what makes a baseball fan, that's what I am, and that's what I'm happy about, because being a baseball fan means something to me. It gives me a reason to want to live tomorrow as well as I live today.
He was the face of baseball and the king of Wrigley Field. From his perch at Wrigley Field, Harry Caray was the Cubs' shining light. Tonight, the field of dreams is silent, and the light has burned out.
And tonight, just outside the ticket office, fans have set up a sidewalk vigil, a sidewalk memorial where they are dropping off flowers and even some of them lighting candles. Harry Caray toasted the Cubs' successes, but he agonized over their losses. For 16 seasons, he was the Cubs' goodwill ambassador, and tonight there is no joy in Wrigleyville.